So you want to lose weight, but you can't stop binge eating. Yep, it is a problem if you want to feel really good about yourself and you want to lose weight. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is episode number 491. The topic, why it is so hard to stop late night binge eating. You're not alone if you're struggling now. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. I'm JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, which is the diet that you need if you want to get to the root of your problems. If you really want to stop binge eating, if you really want to stop emotional eating, you've got to go deeper than the food, because the food is part of the problem, but 92.8% of the problem is what's in your head and in your heart. And when I say your heart, I mean your emotional state. So it's your thinking and it's your emotions that keep pushing the train of your compulsive overeating. If it was only the food, then why would it be such a big deal to fix this problem? Because you already know that you can change how you eat. You've probably done it before. How many times have you done it before? How many times have you changed what you're eating, how much you're eating, when you're eating, and you even lost some weight? But then you're still struggling with binge eating. So does it make a little bit of sense that this is a deeper problem than just a food diet can fix? And that's why I do the work with my awesome coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet. I've been professionally coaching since 2009. And the work that I do, it's a proven step-by-step system. My coaching clients are struggle-free with their eating and their weight by the time we get to our 8th coaching call, as long as they do the steps. All they got to do is do the steps. Just follow the steps of my proven step-by-step system. Now today, what I want to share with you is why it is so hard to stop late night binge eating. And before we get done, if you really do want help to stop your binge eating, I'll tell you what your first step is. And also, right now, here's something you could do. I have a free download over at www.easyfunweightloss.com. Now, I understand if you're feeling really frustrated right now that hearing me say that weight loss could be easy and fun, it might sound impossible. But what do you have to lose by downloading my free tips over at www.easyfunweightloss.com? You might learn something new, possibly, maybe, and it's totally free. Why not check it out? And by the way, the reason that might sound frustrating and irritating to hear that weight loss could be easy and fun is because that's not where you are. That's the only reason that it sounds irritating. If you had already done the inner work to get from where you are to the place you could be where weight loss is struggle-free, then hearing easyfunweightloss.com would not irritate you, because then you'd be on the same page with that. Does that make any sense? Even a little bit, possibly. That's why it's so irritating. If you do feel irritated. Heck, I don't know. Maybe you don't feel irritated hearing me say www.easyfunweightloss.com. Maybe it makes total sense to you. And I just don't know, because I'm not talking with you. And that's what I need in order to coach my clients out of the struggle. I've got to have that two-way communication. That's why we get on the phone. That's why I work personally with my awesome weight loss coaching clients to help them end their personal struggles and break free into the freedom where they're able to live a healthy lifestyle without a fight, without it being a constant battle, without constant self-doubt, constant back and forth and negative self-talk and just on and on and on and on. And then the late night binges. How can you ever get to your ideal weight if you can't stop binge eating, right? So let's take a look at that now. Why is it so hard to stop late night binge eating? If you have been listening to my most recent podcasts about sneak eating, that's an interesting topic right there. If you haven't listened yet, you might want to go back and start with episode number 489. That one, I covered 3 signs you're a sneak eater, and one of them is pretty serious. And then in episode 490, the number 1 reason sneak eating does not work. And the reason I'm suggesting that you go back and listen to these is because sneak eating is not necessarily going to turn into a binge, but often late night sneak eaters do binge eat. And they're trying to cover it up, be in secret, which actually doesn't work. But you can go listen to those 2 episodes to learn more about sneak eating. Again, those are episodes 489 and 490. Right now we're on episode 491. All right, so let's take a look at why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating. But first, I just want to clarify, why would you care to know why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating? Well, the main thing that I hope that you can get out of today's free weight loss podcast here on the JoLynn Braley Show is that it's not your fault that you're still stuck, because you just haven't gotten the right tools. You haven't had the right trainings. You haven't had the right steps to follow. Unfortunately, a food diet is not enough. And that's the only thing that the mainstream diet industry offers is a food diet, an eating plan. If a food diet could fix your binge eating, you wouldn't be binge eating, right? So when you hear a couple reasons why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating, I would hope that you could be just a little bit nicer to yourself. And then, of course, you'll need to make a decision if you're ever going to break free of the binge eating, because you'll need to do something totally different than just a food diet in order to get out of this binge eating pattern. All right? Does that make sense? So let's take a look. I'll give you at least 3 reasons why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating. So why is it so hard to stop late night binge eating? Why? One reason, because notice how it makes you feel. How much shame do you feel about the fact that you can't control your own eating and you're trying to hide what you're eating? You're trying to get away with it. If you are also sneak eating, hey, if you're late night binge eating in front of a whole bunch of people, then that's different. But I've never met a binge eater who is excited to binge in front of others. I just haven't. And that's part of the problem right there, because that shame that you feel about the fact that you can't control your own eating when you look at the rest of your life that's going so great, and you have all the tools and the knowledge and the wherewithal that you could possibly need to eat healthy, eat clean, get the weight off. You could be doing it right now, but you're not. And so when you can't control your eating and you're up late at night stuffing yourself, out of control binge eating, makes you feel pretty crappy. This is actually one of the reasons why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating, because that shame fuels more of the same behavior. Why? It's counterintuitive to even hear this, but those extremely negative emotions that you feel, shame is actually the lowest emotion there is, the lowest vibration. It fuels more of the same behavior because on one level, you think that eating more food will make you feel better. When the truth is, it just makes you feel worse. But it's an ongoing cycle where the emotion, the negative emotion, is fueling more of the negative behavior because you think that that negative behavior is going to give you positive emotion. And maybe you get a little bit of positive emotion, positive kick just for a few minutes while you're stuffing and binging. And by the way, I have been in that position before, in that state. So I understand what it's like. I also know you don't have to stay there. But what's going on is it's a constant cycle of emotion feeding and fueling and motivating negative behavior because you're thinking consciously or unconsciously that you're going to feel better, but it only ends up making you feel worse, and then you want to do it again because you feel so bad. That's one reason it's so hard to stop late night binge eating, because you're caught up in this cycle. You have to have a way to jump out of it, to break out of it, and there are ways to do it. You really need to have two-way communication with a coach, with a permanent weight loss coach, to go deeper on this. But if you can break that wheel and jump out of it, it doesn't happen immediately. So I don't have a quick fix, and I understand that might sound really frustrating because there's a lot of people out there who are just looking for a podcast or a video or an article just to tell them, here's the quick fix. Well, guess what? There's not a quick fix for this. If there was, you would have already had it, I mean, a bottom line quick fix is don't put any food in your mouth if you're not physically hungry. That right there is a quick fix. So stop eating food unless you're physically hungry. And I'm not being sarcastic. This is real. The problem is when you haven't gone to the root of your binge eating, and you haven't healed your inner self, just simply me saying only eat when you're physically hungry, it's not enough. Now, if you can get yourself to do that, fantastic. But see, the physical hunger is not what even drives you to binge eat. Do you see what I mean a little bit? There are many layers and many issues going on with weight loss. It's not as simple as it sounds. If it were that simple, why would you even be listening to me right now, right? Right? Because, hey, all you need is a healthy eating plan, right? Just go get some healthy food, cook it up, portion it out, stick with it. What's the big deal? But you're struggling with out of control binge eating. So what gives? Why isn't it that simple? Many out there will quit before they ever even get started because they want a quick fix. And then they blame the professionals. They blame the coaches. They blame the diet book. They blame anything outside of themselves. But they never took the journey to heal the root of their binge eating. There isn't a quick fix for this. Okay? But this is one reason why it is so hard for you to stop the late night binge eating, because it's a constant cycle feeding off of emotion and feeding off of the thought or the hope, the possibility that you're going to feel better if you have another binge, if you do another binge, if you go for another binge, and then you just end up feeling worse, and then it just starts over again. Another reason that it's so hard to stop late night binge eating is because, bottom line, it's a habit. You are caught up in a habit. And your brain makes it easier to keep doing something over and over and over again if you've already been doing it over and over and over again. So at some point in your life, you were not binge eating late at night. You were not a late night binge eater. But then something changed, something started, something happened, and you started late night binge eating. And then after you did it a few times, now you've already established a habit. And how many years has this been going on? How old are you now? You know, a very simple eye-opening exercise is to take a pen and a paper, pause this podcast, get a pen and a paper. And then once you have that, write your age on that paper with your pen. And after you do that, go back in time to your earliest memory that you have of when you started binge eating late at night. How old were you? Write that age on your paper. Subtract it from your current age. Circle the number. That's how old this problem is. This particular problem of your late night binge eating. The overall problem of how long you've been struggling with overeating and overweight, that's more than likely a much older problem. So when you look at this, does it make a little bit more sense why there isn't a quick fix? Because you've been doing this so long. All right, so you have to break a habit. But not only do you need to break a habit, you need to break a particular kind of habit that has a lot of emotion tied up in it. And when you have a behavior tied to emotion, that's a pretty tough behavior to break down and break up. It absolutely can be done, but it's not an instant fix. Now, the good thing is you listening to this episode right now, hearing me talk about this is a first step in just becoming more aware of how big of a problem this really is, and why there isn't just a simple fix, and why every time you tell yourself that Monday it will be different and it's just going to all be magically better. And here you are, how many years later? How many Mondays have come and gone? So eventually you've got to get to a point where you make a decision that you're willing to change, and then you've got to do something totally different to change. It's much faster if you've got steps that you can follow and you've got accountability with a coach who will help you stay real with yourself and break free as fast as possible. Another reason it's so hard to stop late night binge eating is if you don't have a different behavior to replace that negative behavior with. There's something else more than likely going on that behavior is serving a purpose for, even though it looks extremely self-destructive and damaging. It's serving some kind of a purpose. And now this also goes into deeper layers and deeper work, and you need two-way communication to get to the bottom of this. But when you can discover the positive reason for this behavior, and I know that sounds really freaky and wild that there could possibly be a positive reason for your late night binge eating. But when you can discover the root of this, then you're able to change it and replace it with positive, empowering behaviors, or a behavior that will support you in getting to your healthiest weight. You see, it's like that old saying that nature abhors a vacuum. You can't just take something out and not have anything to replace it with. So if you've ever tried to just force yourself to stop late night binge eating before and it didn't stick, well, did you go to the root of it? Did you have a positive, empowering replacement behavior to replace it with? And were you able to jump out or or break free of that cycle, that emotional cycle that feeds this behavior, and also break the habit. So now that we've taken a look at a few reasons why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating, I hope that besides feeling just a little bit better about yourself, because like I said in the beginning of today's podcast, a food diet just isn't enough. But also I hope that it makes more sense why you can't just fix this problem instantly. Just because we can look up solutions and tips and things on the internet and get some kind of an instant little bit of information doesn't mean that all problems in life can be fixed instantly. And I think a lot of people really get caught up in this instant gratification desire, and it can even sometimes become an addiction where you just want everything instantly. And things just don't work like that. You're not going to be able to fix binge eating instantly. You can fix it though, if you're willing to do something different, totally different than just a food diet. You got to go deeper than that. You got to address the mental and the emotional reasons, and even down into your unconscious, your subconscious. You got to go into your inner self to break free of these compulsive eating behaviors. And it really can be done once you get the right tools and the steps and the system to follow. You just got to plug yourself in if you want to. Totally up to you. So there's several things going on here. And if I wanted to make this podcast longer, I could give you more reasons why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating. I mean, just another really super simple reason. If you don't have a mind, body, weight loss expert in your corner, if you don't have the right type of coach in your corner, and you don't have anybody, a professional coach to help you stay accountable and also to give you specific steps to help you break free, then yeah, that's going to be another reason why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating. I mean, if you could have just done it on your own, I think you probably would have, right? Unless you enjoy struggling. And hey, some people do. They just do. They like to have something to talk about. Hopefully that's not you. But if it is you, at least become aware of who you are, where you're at, what you want. And when you can be totally honest with yourself, if you really want to hang on to your late night binge eating because it gives you maybe something to talk about or something to complain about, at least you'd be aware of that, right? And then you're fully at choice. You're not a victim. You're making the choice and the decision for why you're in that cycle of that behavior. On the other hand, if you decide that you want to stop this and you want to get the weight off and you want to feel really good about how you eat, you don't like feeling out of control, you don't like feeling embarrassed and ashamed all the time, you don't like hiding your binge eating late at night. If you would love to have help, if you'd love me to help you to break free and stop this so that you can finally live a healthy lifestyle, which means that you'll lose the weight that you want to lose. If you'd love my help to do this, apply for a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. That means that we would get on the phone to find out if or how I might be able to help you personally to stop late night binge eating. Which means that you could possibly break free of this unhealthy eating behavior pretty darn fast. I mean, we don't know right now. That's why I say possibly. I have never talked to you. I'd have to talk to you, find out more. If you would love to stop late night binge eating and you'd love my help to do this, go to www.discovery-session.com. That's www.discovery-session.com. Fill out an application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. Let's see what we can find out. It's complimentary, but I got to tell you that I can only speak with at most 3 people a week. And depending on when you put your application in, it might be a wait if those other slots are already full. So if you get yours in right away, hopefully you'll be first in line for that week and we can get on the phone as soon as possible and move forward and see if you might be able to gain some hope and also some relief that your binge eating problems can be fixed. Also, have you listened to my special sub-series here on the JoLynn Braley Show? I've actually got some interviews of some of the coaching clients I've coached throughout the years since I've been doing this since 2009. The way that you can find those is search in the JoLynn Braley Show for the phrase real results. If you search for real results in the JoLynn Braley Show, you should be able to find those interviews because that series, that was real results of the inner self diet. And you can hear some of my coaching clients talk about their biggest challenges before we ever met and then what happened as a result of me coaching them in the inner self diet. At the very least, if hearing their stories helps you have hope that it is possible to change, then that would be great. Because once you can start feeling some hope, you're going to start feeling a little bit better, and then more ideas will come. So search for that series that I did here in the JoLynn Braley Show. Just look for the words real results. And once again, if you would like to have my help, if you'd like to find out if I can help you, first we got to find out if I can even help you. I don't know because I've never talked to you. Head on over to www.discovery-session.com. Get started there. Today we looked at why it's so hard to stop late night binge eating. There's actually more reasons besides the ones that we could get into here. But hey, I gotta keep these podcasts to some kind of a limit. It's great if I can keep them under 30 minutes. Just know that you don't have to stay stuck. All you have to do is make a decision that you're fed up. You don't want to be stuck anymore. And then you've got to take action to do something different. Just make sure that you don't fall into insanity. Remember Einstein's definition of insanity? That's where you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and you expect different results. Don't do that. You need to do something different. It really is possible to stop binge eating. You just have to decide that that's what you want and then move forward. You got to move forward with action. I'm JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that actually works as long as you do it. And I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body, feeling good in your own skin, feeling good about your eating habits, and looking your best in your jeans. Free of the binge eating behaviors that make you feel pretty bad right now. You want to kick those to the curb. Yay!